Welcome to Mr. Foy's Easel. Well, today's theme is what a lot of people talk about but can't do much about, the weather. As I'm going into this Mr. Foy's program, why, our community has been hit with some pretty cold weather, so people are talking about the weather more than usual, I guess. What I want to do through my cartoons on this program is to show different reactions to different kinds of weather. Well, we didn't get any snow here, at least not yet. Let's see how different people react to the weather whenever it snows. Let's look first at this fellow right here. I think he's in the fourth grade, and he's got the TV on here, and what he learns from the TV weatherman is that schools are closed. That's how bad it's snowing, you know. And, well, I think you can guess what kind of expression might be on his face. And yeah, there you go, big smile. No school today. A real happy little guy doesn't have to go to school. Too snowy. All right, now let's look at another positive reaction to it. It could concern this little fellow, but let's just say that it's one of his neighbors. It's already been snowing, and is he sad? Not at all. You know what he's doing? He's working on guess what? A snowman. He's already got part of it done. Having a good time in another case of positive reaction to snow. Well, as you know, it depends on your point of view as to what you think about snowy weather. Maybe this person I'm about to show, maybe he's a neighbor or a parent of one of these young'uns. Notice his expression. Quite different, isn't it? And you could probably guess why. He's just stepped out of his house, and he's about almost knee-deep in snow. And he's got a snow shovel in his left hand, and he's dreading all the work that's ahead of him to clear the snow off the walk and off the driveway. Let's say it's not only snowy, but really cold out. Well, let's switch from snow to a different kind of precipitation. Rain. Well, rain brings a kind of a downhearted expression to this lady here, and you can see why in a minute. She's just got off the bus and doesn't have her umbrella. She does have her boots on, good, thankfully, because there are puddles of water everywhere. And not only that, it's raining. And she's going to get pretty wet by the time she makes it the next few blocks to her home. So that's pretty much of a negative response to rain. I'm not going to color everything, but sometimes in cartoons, rain and snow as well has a little blue tinge in the color comics anyway. Well, let's see what this next character thinks about rain. Well, it's not the same lady, but it happens that this is a lady whose roof has a leak, and it's raining real hard. And this looks like an old-time situation that you used to see in the older comics, but it could still happen. She's got pans and bowls and so on, and of course the rain is dropping plink, plink, plink in different places, and sometimes overflows if she forgets to empty them. Well, let's take a short break, and afterwards we'll do some more weather watching.
Home security is now available through Conway Corp. It's an advanced solution backed by people you know and trust. Customize your system with motion detectors, sensors, light controls, and more, all managed from your wireless touchscreen or mobile phone. It's an easy way to protect the things that matter and the ones who matter most. It's safety for you, powered by Conway Corp.
Okay, welcome back. As we were noting that rain affects people adversely in a number of ways, if you're caught in the rain or if your roof got a leak or two. But now let's turn our attention to a situation where somebody is really rather glad to see the rain. I bet you can guess as soon as I finish drawing the hat. If you guessed farmer, then you're quite right. Here's a farmer. He's just standing out next to his crop of corn or something, which hasn't had much rain in a long time. And now the rain is coming down, and you know something? He doesn't mind getting soaked, because he's so glad to see the rain. So there's usually always a positive response, and as well as a negative response to different kinds of weather. Well, what other weather conditions shall we look at? Let's take a windy day, probably in the month of March, who knows? Okay, here's a little guy who's kind of glad the wind is up and blowing pretty hard, because he's got a kite, and the wind is getting it on up. He'll soon have it flying really high overhead. I can't draw the wind, but you can imagine how in different follow-ups to this story you could show the motion lines of a kite flying high overhead. Well, a long time ago, before nearly everyone had air conditioning, it might be a real hot summer day, and you're inside and you don't have air conditioning, but there's a breeze, and I myself remember times when you had an open window in the summertime. A little breeze through the window would help you survive the summer heat. So there she is, smile on her face, Still pretty hot, but the breeze helps. Well, there's a couple of positive views of a windy day. Of course, windy day has its drawbacks. Ask this guy here. He's on his way home from work, and on a strong windy day. Shouldn't have been wearing his hat on a day like that, should he? There it goes. Well, now, we've had snow and rain and wind, but let's not overlook the sunny days. Sunny days can be very happy days, very pleasant, and they can also make you feel kind of bad. Let's consider maybe a spring day, maybe out in the country or in a park. The sun's shining, but let's say it's in the month of May, and maybe the temperature is outside is about 72 degrees or something like that. And here's a guy with spring fever, leaning back against a tree that's already got some foliage out. And let's just say he drops off to sleep. Very pleasant situation. All right, now let's go to another sunshiny cartoon. Put a kind of a young fella. I'm not going to draw his friends, but he's out at the old swimming hole, just having a grand time, splashing around. His way of cooling off. Sometimes on a day like this, we emphasize the really hot sun. It's really hot, too hot to be doing any work, but certainly not too hot to go out and have a good swim, either in a backyard pool or the old swimming hole. Then, of course, there's always the downside. The kid's having a good time, but his pop is back home. And look at him on this hot, sunny day. He looks pretty miserable already, doesn't he? And, well, he should be, because hot sun or not, it was time to mow the grass, you see. And so the temperature may be up around 90 or higher, and here he is out mowing a good-sized yard. Well, there you have it, all kinds of weather and a variety of reactions to it. It's time to go now, but remember, you can contact Mr. Forrest Easel at conwaycorp.com.